I wanted to do a video about the conspiracy theory that we are living in a computer simulation, like the Matrix is, like that Mike Tyson video said. I just like saying it like that. But essentially, some conspiracy theorists actually believe this is a computer simulation. I'm going to just come out and say that that is very, very unlikely. I mean, I'm not going to say it's completely impossible, but just given the evidence and given common sense, in all likelihood, no. You know, the reason why, and it has nothing to do with the fact of what we know as modern science or anything like that. The reason why I think the whole computer simulation theory is bullshit is because it's not a good way to determine a person's character. If somehow we were in a Matrix-like system to decide and to decree where we stand morally and test ourselves, couldn't we do a better job of it? Like, you know, like Abraham Lincoln said, if you want to see a man's true character, give him power. A lot of us don't have power. A lot of us are, you know, poor, destitute, not too bright, not too skilled. What does that teach? You know, we have to use the bare minimum to get by. So we're not going to have the opportunity to be moral when it's our lives on the fucking line. You know, if you want a good comparison, when I start in a video game, I act a lot more like a dick than after I've leveled up. When I first start in a video game, I have no health points, my weapons suck, I have no spells, so I'm not going to help anybody. I'm not going to do anything that deviates from me powering up, because, you know, I can't afford to. I'm always getting my ass handed to me. But when I start to accumulate power, that is when my ideological sense starts to come into fruition. I start to become much more open to, you know, going on side quests and things like that because I feel empowered enough to do so. So when I have power, I tend to be much more benevolent because I can afford to be. Whereas, you know, people that are weak and can't even defend themselves are in no position to be moral toward other people. And, but as you notice in the real world, when people have power and influence, they tend to be more evil. Now, this could be due to their nature, and that could be simulated in a video game. When some people have power, they feel bulletproof. They feel like nothing can stand between them. And they use that power to hurt other people because who's going to punish them? Who's going to stop them? And that's true. When you have that kind of power, you lack responsibility because no one can force you to have responsibility. No one can force you to be held accountable for your actions. But that says something about your character. That says something that maybe you're not fit to have power, and maybe you should be bound in some hellfire and brimstone or whatever. Whereas myself, I tend to be more virtuous when I do have power because then I can afford to be. Because that is my character. I'm not built to be an evil person. I'm not built to... I don't get pleasure out of people's pain. But I will do what I have to do. The means always justify the ends. And if that means manipulating people, if that means hurting other people, then so be it. But as I accumulate more power, I need to do that less. I no longer have to compromise with myself, and I no longer have to scrounge at the bottom, and I can rely on my own internal power to make a greater good happen. Do you see what I'm saying? So, when you are like level 1, if you're a good person, you will rely on external forces to, you know, get the victory. But when you're like level 99, then you become an internal godlike creature, and you do want to help people and shit. You see what I'm saying? So, I see no reason why in a computer simulation, why we would all be these weaklings that have to rely on other people to live our lives, and we live this very pathetic and weak existence, worrying about death and disease and poverty and, you know, stress, emotional damages. You know, we have all these things going on at once, and yet it's supposed to define us morally. The only way we can determine our true moral standing is to be, or at least feel, like a Superman. Because once we are a Superman, then what we do with that Superman-like power defines us. Because then there is nothing that we can't do. If there is nothing separating us from our own will, and yet we still do evil, and we still are malevolent, then you know what we're really all about. Then you know our true nature. But until then, you are never going to know our true nature. Now, mind you, some might want to say that in times of weakness, this does test a person's character. This tests their resolve and shit. But like I said, it's a moot point, because if you are weak and you are small and you are easily killed, you will always do something that will help you survive. For when you are a minuscule being, it's not about the idea. It's not about the principle. It's just about pure survival. I mean, it is about the principles still. You still have those principles inside you, but first and foremost, it's about survival so that you can live long enough to implement those principles. And it just seems counterproductive. It seems counterproductive that you have to work so hard to survive just to have enough time in the day to maybe implement your principles in some vague and obscure way, because since you lack power, you can't even directly impose your will. So that's why I don't believe in a computer simulation. That's why I don't believe in a matrix. Because it would serve no logical purpose, and if such alien beings were to exist to plug us into a matrix system, or that if God put us in this matrix system, I would imagine that they'd be rational enough to know that, you would find out more about a person's character through their Superman-like qualities than through their beta qualities, than through their everyman qualities. So, that's my spiritual quip for today.